Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman and thank you for sharing part of your holiday weekend with us. On the show tonight, a Black Voices and Latino Voices crossover conversation on the battle over abortion rights and what's next after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Plus, a theatrical production about abortion hits the stage in Chicago. A new Southside program choosing rehabilitation over prison sentences. And masks and identities are at the heart of an art show curated by Chicago rapper Vic Mensa. First off tonight, the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade has led to protests and demonstrations from both sides of the issue. Outrage on one, celebration on the other. With abortion regulation now up to state lawmakers, abortion bans are in place or set to take effect in roughly half of the United States, with many wondering what happens next. Joining us now as part of a special crossover with Chicago Tonight Latino Voices are Stephen Ramirez, a law professor at Loyola University Chicago, Linda Tortolero, president and CEO of Mujeres Latinas en Acción, Felicia Davis Blakely, president and CEO of the Chicago Foundation for Women, and Noah Smith-Drellick, an assistant professor of law at IIT Chicago Kent College of Law. Thanks to all four of you for joining us. Felicia Davis Blakely, let's start with you, please. As someone who runs a foundation for women and women's issues, what's on your mind as far as the impact on the groups that you seek to assist?
Wow, this is, there's a lot. And so let me just say, first and foremost, safety and security of people who are seeking services. That's top of mind, making sure that women continue to have access. I mean, we do sit in Illinois, and I know that our organization, Chicago Foundation for Women, is working with a number of other organizations to make sure that we can continue to meet the demand for women who are seeking reproductive services in Chicago and Illinois, because those numbers continue to go up. And then beyond that is to understand how we can protect some of the additional rights that have been signaled kind of in the decision from the Supreme Court.
Linda Tortolero, what are you thinking about as far as the implications of this decision on women and people of color especially?
Well, we know that this decision will directly and disproportionately impact women of color throughout the country. And so in Illinois, we have to make sure that although we have a great law that protects our rights, we have to be ever vigilant that access is available to women, many women who are low income, who may not know about their rights to access to abortion or other reproductive health care. And we also have to make sure that we're well informed as a community, because we very well may have cousins, aunts, sisters, relatives reaching out to us from other parts of the country seeking access. And we want to make sure that we can be a support system for them as well.
Professor Smith-Drellick, President Biden is calling on Congress to codify Roe versus Wade. Explain what that means and what it would do at this point.
Well, I think it means that Congress would pass a law that would provide many of the same protections that the Supreme Court previously recognized as being constitutional via Roe versus Wade. Whether or not that would stand up against the current Supreme Court, I think, is anybody's question, but it would at least go a long way to reinstating a lot of what was protected under Roe and isn't protected anymore.
Professor Ramirez, in his opinion, Clarence Thomas stated that the court, quote, should reconsider its past rulings codifying rights to contraception, access, same-sex relationships, same-sex marriage. Justice Alito insisted that these rights are not in danger. But could these other rights that Justice Thomas named, could they be in jeopardy?
Absolutely. The reasoning of the majority opinion is that only enumerated rights or rights that are deeply rooted in history are rights worthy of protection, which flies directly into the face of the Ninth Amendment, which states quite clearly that the fact that a right is not enumerated shall not be construed to deny or disparage that right. But, you know, it's fundamentally a white supremacist approach, a white male supremacist approach, because if we're going to freeze rights back to 1868 or 1789, you know, rights, the original right holders were all white males, white male property holders. So it's fundamentally skewed in favor of white males. And I think anything that's not enumerated is now at risk, including the right, ironically, to travel, which Justice Kavanaugh relied on to make very clear that privileged people will always be able to travel for abortions. But, you know, the right to travel itself is an implied right. So the opinion suffers from many grave internal inconsistencies, and that's one of them.
Linda, you also have a background in law. What's your take on this? Are more constitutional rights, is it possible that others could be revoked?
I think it's very worrisome. You know, when I got word about Justice Thomas's opinion, I was just floored because I am a Latina woman. I have a lot of friends and colleagues who are in same-sex relations. I'm afraid of what could happen to friends who are also in multiracial marriages. This is something that we have to be very concerned about. And I think that one thing that we forget about is that the United States has been a leader in so many ways in expanding freedom, understanding what justice could be for people. And I don't think that we can say that as well as we used to. And I'm also kind of dismayed that in other parts of Latin America and other parts of the world, women's rights, the rights to reproductive justice have been lifted and have been protected and sometimes codified, but we have not achieved that. So this is a really not only harmful decision, but also harms the United States as a global leader for women's rights.
Felicia, a Duke University study that looked at the impact of abortion bans on maternal mortality estimated that pregnancy-related deaths would jump 21% overall, 33% for blacks and 18% for Latinas if the U.S. banned abortion outright nationwide. Now, those figures don't include mortality due to unsafe or attempted abortions. What's your reaction to this, and are you concerned about more pregnancy and abortion-related deaths?
I am. I'm very concerned. The number of women who have died just in the past year or the past 2 years as the pandemic has gone on has been really unwieldy. Black women seem to face the highest risk, and a third of pregnant women and new mothers who died in 2020 were Black women, even though we just make up over 13% of the population. And our mortality rate is nearly 3 times that of white women. And the study also showed that the mortality rate for Hispanic women is also going up as well, which had been considerably low. So both of those things are problematic, but that is assuming that women are forced to carry babies to term. We haven't even talked about the other complications that happen within birth, ectopic pregnancies and other things that are also equally deadly that have been outlawed in other states. I saw news coming out of Missouri about some doctors waiting for women to basically be near death in an ectopic pregnancy before they intervene, because otherwise it would be deemed an abortion. So this is an outright attack on women's, it's an attack on women's health, and we absolutely need to take that into consideration. And then there's the whole another layer of attempted abortions, illegal abortions. And there was a time in Chicago where Cook County Hospital had a septic abortion wing, a whole wing, and many of those women were beyond treatment. We're going to go back to a time where hospitals are going to have wings dedicated to treating women and pregnant people from failed abortions, and that's unfortunate.
Linda, what do you think? What are some of the potential health ramifications of limiting abortion access?
I think that for the first time, we're going to see women going to drastic measures. And I think Felicia kind of described those ramifications. I worry also that there will be relationships that can suffer because, you know, women are not getting the support of their family members so that maybe they can travel. We know that many women can't afford to travel out of state. So what Stephen said was very true. You know, if there is a decision by a family that we're going to support someone to receive that, but there's no funds to do that, you know, I don't know how we're going to have Illinois can, you know, say that we are going to be able to support out of state when only those that actually can afford to come can actually seek those abortions and other reproductive health. So for me, that's really important. But I think also when we think about abortion as just one big part of reproductive health, contraception, understanding our bodies, making sure that women receive gynecological care, all of that is at jeopardy when we start taking apart our rights as women and reproductive health.
Okay, a lot to think about. It's been a big week. My thanks to all of you, and that's of course where we'll have to leave it because this is a special crossover conversation in conjunction with Chicago Tonight Latino Voices. My thanks to Stephen Ramirez, Linda Tortolero, Felicia Davis Blakely, and Noah Smith-Drellick. Up next, a new play about abortion by Chicago journalist Natalie Moore. As the issue of abortion rights takes the national spotlight, a new play in Chicago offers an in-depth look at abortion and a person's right to choose. The book-turned play, called The Billboard, follows a fictional Black women's health clinic in Inglewood at the center of a political race and fight for reproductive rights. The play was written by WBEZ reporter Natalie Moore, who joins us now. Natalie, welcome to Chicago Tonight Black Voices, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brandis.
So first, give us a sense of what The Billboard is about. What can viewers expect when they see the production on stage?
Yeah, there are two billboards. One is an anti-abortion billboard that likens abortion to genocide and says the most dangerous place for a Black child is mother's womb, and it's put up by somebody running for city council in the Inglewood neighborhood. And then a fictional Black women's health clinic puts up its own billboard that says abortion is self-care, #trust Black women. Black women have the right to make decisions for their families. And on that billboard is a picture of 3 smiling Black women. So this hasn't been a depiction of abortion that people have seen. And so that billboard becomes controversial. And then you have the city council race, and that's where the drama unfolds.
And tell us about what it was that you saw. What was it that inspired this play for you?
In 2011, I covered one of these Black pro-life groups, national group that put up an anti-abortion billboard around the South Side. And that one said, every 21 minutes, a potential leader is aborted, and had Obama's picture on it. And then in 2018, that same guy put up a billboard in Dallas, and the Afia Center, a Black women's health group in Dallas, put up its own self-care billboard. So my play is not a historical reenactment. It's very much a Chicago-centered, neighborhood-centered play. And it's, as I said, in a city council race. So you have the incumbent who wants to keep her job, the board chair of the clinic, who's the voice of caution and reason, and then a 19-year-old program assistant who is the social media maven. So there's lots of multimedia in the play, lots of social media, because that's how some of the debate comes through.
And of course, that billboard that you mentioned in Dallas, or that you mentioned in the play, you actually saw that in Dallas once upon a time, and then of course decided on setting your own story at this Black women's health clinic in Inglewood. Why highlight Inglewood and Black women specifically?
Well, I wanted to address patriarchy, and I wanted to have an intra-racial conversation about abortion. And with Inglewood, I think I could have probably picked any South Side neighborhood, but part of the theme here is who gets to speak for community. And so you have dueling visions about what happens to a community that's been disinvested for so long, and that becomes a boiling point also in the play.
And as you're speaking, we're looking at some photos of the production at the 16th Street Theater. Now, you began writing the Billboard in 2018. 4 years later, abortion rights is front and center in the U.S. Now, as we know, of course, after the Supreme Court has ruled to overturn Roe versus Wade. How do you think this play resonates with people now as abortion bans begin to take effect nationwide?
I think it's going to hit deeper. Plays in general have a certain immediacy to them, and that's the hallmark of the genre. But now there's an urgency. Before the leak came out with the decision, there was a completely different lack of conversation that was happening. The day after, the public discourse has changed, and that has continued to ramp up to where we are today with the overturn. So I think people are learning. They have questions. I think that, there are people who do this work knew that this day was coming. And lawmakers here in Illinois will tell you that. This is why Illinois started putting in protections in 2017. But for most people, abortion was seen as a right that was there and nothing needed to be done about it. And yes, there is renewed interest in it's always been a timely topic, because these states that are starting to ban, they had this in this was in the works already. So there was groundwork that was laid for people who are against abortion and those who are for it.
In the play, you also make it a point to highlight different experiences that might lead someone to make a decision on abortion, factors ranging from health concerns to finances to timing. Was that intentional, to show all the different reasons someone makes that choice?
Absolutely. And you have so much time in a play, just like we do in news stories. So everything you say has to be intentional and making a point. So I wanted to highlight that there is no single abortion story. So there are three women who have three very different stories.
And what do you want viewers who should see this production, or readers who should read the play in a book? What do you want them to take away? What's the message you're trying to send?
I want them to leave the theater with more questions than they had when they entered.
And in the production, you also have a family member. Tell us about that.
I do. It sounds like such gross nepotism, but I am not the director. I did not cast. My youngest stepdaughter, Milan Paz, is an actress, and she auditioned, and I was just as surprised as her when she got the part. So she plays Kayla, the young person who actually has become a fan favorite because of her maturity in the play and her incisiveness. And I created this character because I wanted to honor girls in Inglewood. That Black Girl Magic didn't mean that you had to have gone to college. It can be someone who is smart, but who hasn't had the opportunity, perhaps, as some other people in her cohort. Okay. More plays from Natalie Moore in the future? Brandis, I'm just trying to get through this and get through COVID and make people, help people that see it. So I cannot quite yet think about what is next. One thing at a time. I totally get it. Congrats on the play and the production, Natalie Moore. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to have you. Thank you. A new program focused on rehabilitation instead of punishment for people accused of nonviolent crimes holds its first graduation ceremony. 29 people graduated this week from Cook County's Restorative Justice Program in Inglewood. County leaders say the program lasts an average of 6 to 9 months and focuses on education, accountability, and job training designed to address nonviolent crime and prevent recidivism.
We're here to celebrate your graduation, yes, but we're here also to let you know we value you. We know the trauma that you had to overcome in order to step into this room today. We know that you had to stand erect and acknowledge what you did and repair the harm what you did. And you did that. And I think that because you had the courage and the wherewithal to go through all of that for months, repairing the harm, replacing what was taken, talking to the community, apologizing to the community for what you did. And because ultimately your quote-unquote charges will be dismissed and ultimately your records will be expunged, you'll be able to come back to the community as a contributing citizen, not as a convicted felon.
And those who go through community court are expected to apologize for their crimes and complete community service. To be eligible, a defendant must be 18 to 26 years old, have been charged with a non-violent felony or misdemeanor, and have a non-violent criminal history. Up next, an art show curated by Chicago rapper Vic Mensa. One of Chicago's leading art galleries has joined forces with one of the city's top rappers. Victor Kwesi Mensa is better known as Vic Mensa. He's the founder of the hip-hop collective Save Money, which includes Chance the Rapper and Joey Perp. Vic Mensa curated a gallery show in the West Loop, and that's where producer Mark Vitale met him.
The day before the show opened at the Kavi Gupta Gallery, Vic Mensa told us about his creative journey.
Music is what's taking me around the world, and it's my passion, but I'm also not limited to any one form of expression.
His latest expression is a show called Skin and Masks. It was inspired by Frantz Fanon, the influential 20th century thinker and author of Black Skin, White Masks.
It's like his seminal text, and he's dissecting the psychological ramifications of colonialism and white supremacy and imperialism and all of those things. And I felt that concept could relate well to an art show.
Mensa invited old friends like Hebrew Brantley to contribute work. While we were there, another artist dropped in.
Thelonious Stokes, Chicago's own. This is Thelonious's work right here.
It's a portrait of a young Emmett Till and his father, Louis Till, sourced from old photographs. Other works chosen by Mensa reflect his interest in getting more representation on gallery walls.
A lot of his ideology aligns with the gallery's ideology of really making things more accessible and then reaching back into the community and making sure that everyone's voices are heard and that everyone's individual visions are amplified.
Mensa's voice was first amplified when he was a teenager, performing with the band Kids These Days. More recently, the Hyde Park native collaborated with Chance the Rapper. And he started a foundation, Save Money, Save Life, or SMSL, that aims to help people from Chicago and the Republic of Ghana in West Africa.
We founded that organization in 2018, basically as a vessel to respond creatively to the problems faced by the people. The gallery has been so gracious to donate their percentage from the show to SMSL for the formation of an art program in Ghana. And so I've been doing a lot of things in Ghana. My father's Ghanaian, an entire half of my family lives there. My uncle in Ghana is a legendary high life musician, Chief Kofi Sami. His group is called the Okukuseku International Band. So I got music in my blood, art in my blood in that way. Quote by James Baldwin moves me, and that is know from whence you came. That way there are absolutely no limitations to where you can go. And I believe that that's the ethos of what we're creating in Ghana right now.
We work with a lot of curators, a lot of people that are, kind of occupy the art space, the art world, the art ecosystem. So it's been really refreshing to work with someone that kind of exists outside of that narrative.
I want people to take away that the youth has something to say, that we have ideas about imagination, about the future. We have perspectives influenced by, but not limited to, the past. That in this moment of, sometimes it feels like a culmination of society's ills and America's melting pot of wrongdoing coming to a boil. That it's art and it's poetry and it's film that will be carrying the bastion of revolution, and will be the ones imagining and dreaming of solutions.
For Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, this is Mark Vitale.
Vic Mensa's show is called Skin and Masks, and it just opened at Kavi Gupta Gallery. They have several spaces in town, and this exhibition is in their West Loop location. You can find out more on our website. And that's our show for this weekend. If you're watching us on Saturday night, know that you can also catch Black Voices and Latino Voices on Sundays beginning at 10 p.m. And join me next week at 7 on Chicago Tonight. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy and safe, and to have a happy 4th of July. Good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm, and proud sponsor of programming that offers advice and strategies to enhance the physical and mental well-being of fellow legal practitioners in Illinois.